So thank you so much for coming and joining us in this new way of doing celebrations. I think when COVID happened, taught us a lot of interesting ways. You know, when people say it was a blessing in disguise. So we found alternative ways of how, even if we cannot gather a big group, we can just, in wherever we are, we can start conversations and have people joining us virtually from wherever they are. So we are gathered here because we believe in something, and we believe in social justice for children. And even as we get to the tail end of the conversation, because I would also want us to be solution offers. So what solutions are we offering? How are we responding? And we can talk about the things that we are doing in our different organizations, in our different spaces as solution offers, either at individual level and at organizational levels. When you're talking about child protection, child rights, how is the situation, the things that we are grappling with also as a department?
In most cases, we find the parents are using these children in child labor, even the relatives, especially for those children without parents. In other words, we are saying that children are being used. They are being used by elders, by the parents, by the relatives, by people they know. They are people who are supposed to protect them. They are using them in child labor, and they are the people who are benefiting from this labor. Because I can give an example of a case I handled sometimes in court, whereby a child was brought from up country, and the caregiver in up country was told that the child is being taken to school. When the child arrived in Nairobi, she was exposed into child labor. She was working as a house help. She was working for pay. And now the payment was being sent to a country, to this relative who gave the child. The two of them discussed, and then after agreeing, they promised the child education, which was contrary to what she was promised. And then we rescued this child. The message came to our office. We rescued the child. And after rescuing the child, we took this child to a rescue center, and the case went to court. And the two parents, the two guardians who were taking care of this child were arrested. So this problem is there in Kenya. The problem is there in our village, in our areas where we are staying. It's there. Now, we are working, we are looking for solutions. And as an office, we cannot be a solution. That's why we are partnering with all these people you are seeing in front of us here, so that we can look for a solution together, because we cannot do it alone. The government cannot do it alone.
So I'm happy that we have partners here who, if we're talking about, as the theme goes on social justice for all, how do we ensure that we achieve this? As you've said, we are not there because you also still receive cases of children who are actually being rescued from those situations.
Looking at our membership trade union movement, where we are directly engaging with domestic workers who are working in households, you realize child exploitation is also rampant within homes, not necessarily within working environments where they are. For instance, you find that we are engaging a child, and we know very well that a child has their rights. And as a child, we are also expecting them to just allow them develop as children so that they do not miss out their developmental stages. But in instances whereby you find that a child is being engaged in work, and as my sister from the government was saying, they are denied their rights to even develop as children. They are not given time to go out and play with other children. And, when they're engaged on labor, they're exploited because they do not know that, at this point, someone is using me as a child in return or in exchange of other favors. And also you find that even as they are being exploited, There are also levels of engaging the child whereby issues around safety is not taken into consideration. What are we exposing them also to, chemicals that will end up harming them? Like we are in Dandora, and I know there's a dump site around here. So you find that we may have also parents who see an opportunity in collecting litter scrap metals and selling them to other households or other entrepreneurs. So we are looking at the component of, is the work even secure to the child? Are they given better, gears that they can protect themselves as children? And are we also forcing them to go work because we want extra income, or we are having a negotiation with them to also make them learn that if they are coming to work, then these are the restrictions and how far we can take this employment. So part of what we are doing in intervention is to educate communities on, differences around child work, child labor, child domestic work. Where do we draw the line on how far we can engage children?
Sometimes we have normalized a lot of work around children. And sometimes we think that children have to do this work. Like, let's say, even just fetching water from the taps to the houses. And people will think that, because you are a child, this is your work. You need to fetch water, you need to bring water in. And sometimes the child carries a lot of jerry cans and brings water, probably the whole day. And people will just overlook that because they think that the child is just carrying water, and it's normal for children to carry water. So some of the labor, sometimes we see children who are being abused outside here, who are doing domestic work, who are being beaten in that work, who are going through a lot. And because they are not our children, we assume that someone else will come and take care of that. So I think most of us Kenyans, we just become those bad bystanders. We just look and see things are happening, and they're happening once to children, and we don't talk about them. So on this day, I think we observe this day probably once a year, and every day, every minute, a child is going through a lot of issues outside there.
Most parents have neglected their responsibilities, and you'll find that a parent wouldn't want to know where is my child because of maybe the economic situation that they are going through. Like, for example, when you leave in the morning, you come back late in the evening, a child has been sent away to maybe go back home, go look for school fees. And because the parent is not at home, the child engages in labor. And those engaging these children in labor are taking advantage of that and exploiting the children. And so the children are undergoing a lot, but the kind of support we'd have expected from the parents is not there. So maybe another aspect that we might want to look at is maybe empowering these particular parents in terms of parenting skills, and maybe get them to get something else, maybe have an economic empowerment to support them so that they don't allow their children to go into domestic work.
How best can we support the parents to be able to take care of children better, or give quality life to their children?
We all know, and Madam Government, our sub-county children officer knows quite well. Dandora, there are so many children who are actually out of school. And the big question is, what are they doing when they're out of school? Where are they going when they're out of school? What is the engagement when they're out of schools? So, as Maona, we decided, yes, to curb this idleness, to curb the issue of child labor, why don't we offer space for them where instead of just being at home, just sitting and being lost in thoughts, they're able to come in our space. We sit together with their peers. They're able to share their experiences. We're able to have talks with them. We're able to at least engage them constructively as an organization. We are focusing so much on creation of awareness, which a good number of us have talked about. But as we are using sports and art as an intervention. So we have a theater team that has been walking around all the locations within Dandora. We focus so much on populated areas, like the market areas within Dandora, the bus stops areas, and other renowned places within Dandora that there are big populations.
What we are doing as an organization, we created a curriculum for the kids where we train them life skill courses, and we provide mental health training, and we also provide activities such as yoga and Zumba, and all this is just to build their capacity and to train them so that they can be trainers to other kids, because it's them that they know what they are going through rather than other people. Even as we are looking at training parents and the community at large, we should not overlook the kids themselves, because if they have the information, it will be very hard for them to be lied to or be cheated by people. The way we say that someone from the village can trick a child, that they're taking them to school, and it's not even in the village, it happens even here in Nairobi. And when these kids have the information and they're educated on such stuff, it will be very impactful to other kids as well, because even when they see, sometimes adults can see and can ignore, but when that child has the information, they can see a child going to someone that has promised them work and they can tell them no. We have the Children's Act, we have the Constitution that doesn't, like, they don't meet somewhere and they don't harmonize. So like now I'm told by the children officer that below the age of 18, she's a child. She's not supposed to do any work. When I go to labor, I will be told at 16, she can do work as long as it is work that is light, she can do work. But even that light work, according to the children's department, it's that child should not be in that house doing work. They should be in school. I think if there's just we have harmonized how we are doing and the policies and the laws that govern even protecting the children.
The other one is us as partners, and what has also worked, for example, like partners under Freedom Fund. We've been coming together, working together to support these particular children, not looking at each other as rivals, but looking at each other as partners who support these children. For example, like we've partnered with Azadi and Maisha, and empowering the girls so that we don't have to duplicate work, but instead replicate the kind of activities we are doing.
The government has care reforms, and we are working on them. And it has time frame. It will take us 10 years for it to be implemented. So it's not something that is going to be done right away. It's something that the government is thinking of doing gradually. So it's something that is going to take place slowly, and by the end of 10 years, we'll see how far we have gone. If we had not yet finished the children for all children from the institutions, then we'll see what next.
We have promised each other here that this is not just an end in terms of conversation. I think it's a conversation that we have begun, and I think it's a conversation that we need to sustain. And I believe there are partners who are also doing similar work who are not part of this. And since this is the day of, ending, a day marking this day around child labor, there are many organizations also working in the sector. And I believe one of the call that you're also emphasizing, Madam Margaret, is a way to find that we are working collaboratively and we are coordinating our efforts, both as state agencies and also as non-state agency. I think this is something that we have kept on talking about, so that if there's progress, or like what you've mentioned on the things that you are working on and you're thinking about, also for the non-government organizations are there to support and are rallying behind you so that we are able to address any gaps, any loopholes, and also advice in the process. The issue we've been having is that we are all sometimes finding ourselves working in silos, And so we find ourselves like we are mark timing. We're in the same space, same spot. Nothing is changing. Yet there's a lot of resources that have been put. There's a lot of knowledge that people have on particular things, but we are not working together. And that is the journey that we'd also want to start also as partners and also as Freedom Fund, that we work with the organizations that are in the forefront and work collaboratively, so that we are able to try and solve the issues that are facing us as a community. So I'm happy that we are able to have this conversation today, and to start it now. And I'm hoping that even for other partners, friends, allies who've been streaming, can reach out to you in wherever spaces. In Dandora, we have Maono. In Mukuru, we have Kana. In Kamkunji, Isili, we have Maisha. Kudehia, I know where you are, but you're working with the different domestic workers in nationwide, actually. And you have Azadi. Again, I appreciate that you have reminded us that we need to strengthen the voice of the child. So it's the child domestic. They need to be part of the conversations, also the decision, and leading the process, so that we are not speaking here on their behalf, but they are actually they are represented in those conversations. And that is the work that you're doing that we really appreciate. And also Maono, in terms of this space, and allowing young people to come as they are. So really appreciative of your presence as well, Margaret. I know you are wearing a big hat today, that hat. And thank you for your responses. I think they are quite comprehensive. We've learned quite a lot, and I'm sure even as you continue working together with Maono Ajiru, we're going to see some changes. Thank you, everyone, and I think we bring this to a close, and continue the rest of the day with the conversation. Thank you so much.